Hey guys, it's Shane here again from IGU. I'm back on League of Legends today, and last time I kind of went over what to do in the launcher, what are the different things that you can do, and all the different options, all that boring crap that nobody really cares about unless you just started, or you're a special person, I don't know. But now I'm going to actually show you the game, what it looks like, and kind of explain how the game works fundamentally. And if you're a new player, hopefully this will help you out a little bit to understand what you're getting yourself into before you just hop into a game and you're mind boggled and you just kind of want to curl up in the corner and cry because you have no idea what's going on because shit's flying everywhere. And yeah, if you're not a new player, then maybe you'll figure out some stuff that you never really realized before, or you just won't watch the video because you don't care. So I'm going to go ahead and press play, and you can see the PvP section here. Normally I'd go classic 5v5 and go to normal, or ranked if I wanted to do ranked. Normally you'd go normal if you were leveling still or whatever, and you get in there and you get in the champion select. But today, just so I'm not trolling a bunch of people while I'm trying to explain, I'm going to create a custom game, and it's going to be Summoner's Rift, all that jazz, the normal map, and I'm not going to put anything else in there just so that I can explain stuff while I'm going. So right now we've got the champion select screen, and you'll see all the champions that you can play at the moment, and you can see here all of the ones with the exclamation points. Those are the free champions, which if you just started, you'll see the 9 or 10 of them, or however many there are. So you choose your champion here, and the rest of your team and the opponent's team will as well. You'll be able to communicate here with your team and type, be like, hey, what's up? I spelled hey wrong. And communicate who's going to go where, who's going to play what, who's going to do what before the game starts, so that hopefully you're not all over the place. Doesn't always happen, but whatever. So I'm just going to random until I find somebody that's not boring. Yeah, that could take a while. Who do I play a lot? Let's go Caitlyn. She's fun. She does damage. So you can see here the Rune and Mastery pages that I showed in my previous video. You can select them from here, so different Mastery and Rune pages will be used for different roles. So I'm going to use my AD ones in this case because this champion is an AD carry, which I'll explain more in a little bit. Here you can select your summoner spells, which vary depending on what you're playing. So once you're done, you lock in, and you can select a skin if you have a skin. In order to get a skin, you have to own the champion, though, so you have to spend the money or the influence points on the champion, as well as spend expend the real life money on Riot points to get the skin. Pretty straightforward. You won't be able to see what champions your opponents are picking unless you're playing ranked, because then it lets you know so that you can try and counter them and whatever. Not important, don't worry about it until you get to this screen here, which isn't loading. And normally there'd be two tiers of it. There'd be like my team on the top and their team on the bottom, or vice versa. And you see everybody's team, you see everybody's summoner spells right there. You'll see their names, if they have skins, if they have this border here. It means it just means where they were placed last season in the ranking status. Half the time it doesn't matter if they have a silver or gold border. Usually they may not be that good. They could be good, you don't know. If they have a platinum or a diamond border, they could have just been carried there, you don't know. Don't pay attention to it, doesn't really matter. You're just gonna get your panties in a twist and get all worried about nothing. So where to start? Let me see. So you can see your champion, and there's two ways that you can play. I recommend playing freeform, where you can just move your camera around wherever you want. You can click on the map and look over here, do whatever the heck you want. There's also the option to lock your camera, which is this little button over here, or there's a keybind, I think it's V, no, that's B. There's a keybind for it that I can never remember because I never use it. But that just locks you on your champion. So as you move, your camera's going to move with it. This makes it a little bit easier to keep track of where you are, but it really limits the amount of stuff that you can see on your screen. It can really limit your reaction time, or depending on your champion, it can limit your ability to pick up a kill with a long shot nuke. So once you decide which way you want to play, you got this little midget dude over here, which if you right click on him or left click on him, or you can click on the little store thing down on the bottom left here, or you can press P if you're one of those guys, and it'll bring up the list of items. I'm not really going to cover item builds today or anything because it's not really, I'm trying to get the basics in right now. So you buy your items. If you're just starting, just follow the recommended. There's always a recommended build. Most of them are pretty good now. They used to suck. They're pretty good now. So you buy your stuff and you would go to your lane. So after you head to your lane, I'll explain that in a second. You can also see here that you have 4 moves. Your 4 moves are keybound to Q, W, E, and R. Q, W, and E are available to put points in whenever you level, starting at level 1. Your R ability, also known as your ultimate, if you're speaking in-game or to other players, or your ulti, if you're too lazy to say ultimate, you can't get to level 6. You can put a second point in at level 11, and the last point is at level 16. This is usually something you want to put a point in every time you are able to, because it's one of your most powerful abilities on any champion. So I'm going to start with my Q because it does some damage, and I'm going to leave my champion here for a little bit because it's not that important while I explain everything. So you see these little guys here fighting in the middle as well as up here and down here. These are called minions, and starting at 1 minute and 55 seconds they're going to spawn from each side's nexus and run towards the other side. When they meet in the middle, they're going to start fighting, and naturally one side will win over the other, pushing towards the turrets. Now you can see that there's 3 turrets in each lane here. So 1, 2, 3, and then what's called an inhibitor. If you manage to destroy the enemy's inhibitor, it'll spawn super minions, which are just more powerful minions that make it easier for you to move through the lane. Right near the end, you've got 2 turrets side by side, and then the enemy nexus. The entire point of this game is to kill the enemy's nexus. It's a little bit harder getting there than it might seem, but you usually get there at some point. So there's also 3 lanes. There's the top lane, which runs along the top of the map. There's the bottom lane, which runs along the bottom of the map. And there's the mid lane, which, you guessed it, runs to the middle of the map. So different champions normally go in different lanes. Normally, you'd see a champion like Caitlyn, who's an AD carry, would be going bottom with a support champion like Janna or Lulu. Whereas in mid lane, you would see an ability power carry or an AP carry like Malzahar or Syndra or someone who does a lot of burst damage. And at top lane, you'd usually see a bruiser or a tankier person like Renekton, Garen, something like that. While these are kind of what you'll see the most of, it's what's normally called the meta. It's not necessarily what you're going to see. There's a lot of different fucked up combinations that people will do. People will have 2 AD carries bottom. I've seen 2 supports bottom. I've seen 2 assassins bottom. I've seen tanks bottom. I've seen AD carries mid, which actually used to be the main meta. There's been times where an AD carry has soloed top, more commonly being Vayne. I feel like I'm naming off champions you probably have never heard of at this point. And the point being, there's a way that the game's normally played, but it's not necessarily the only way the game is going to be played. So you have to be ready for that. Now, that being said, there's a couple things you have to do while you're in lane. One of those being last hitting. You can see in the bottom left here you've got your gold counter. The gold will naturally go up over time, but it's very slow. One of the ways to get gold in this game is to get the last hit on your minions. So every time I hit the minion, just before it dies, and I'm the person who kills it, I get a set amount of gold. And as I do that, I'll gain enough gold to buy items, which will make me more powerful. The objective in your lane is generally to out-farm or out-kill, so of the minions anyway, the opponent that is in your lane, which gives you a gold advantage, which gives you an item advantage, which means usually you can kick their ass. Unless you're bad, and then usually you get your ass kicked. Now, the other way to get kills, or the other way to get gold, is to get kills on enemy champions. And you will share gold with other people who have helped kill the champion. They'll get an assist. The last person to hit the champion to pick up the kill, just like with the minions, will get the kill and get the most gold. Usually 300. If that person's been on a killing spree, you actually get 500 or 400, depending on how big their killing spree is. So if you're getting a lot of kills, It can be good and it can be bad. It just depends on if you're able to stay alive or if you're gonna die to somebody. So it's something to take into account when you're kicking everybody's ass. Do you really want to be doing that? Probably, but you never know. So you can see in between the lanes here, there's an area that's called the jungle. And in case you're wondering, the map is completely mirrored. So everything that's on the blue side here is on the red side as well, with the exception of this spot in the river and this spot in the river. While they look the same, they have two different creatures there, which I'll talk about it in a second. So if I run through the jungle here just so you can see it, usually in most games there will be two bottom, an AD carry and a support, one mid, an AP carry, one top who will be a bruiser or tank, and there will be a jungler who 90% of the time will be a tanky bruiser assassin person. So instead of going into the lanes and getting gold that way, they'll sit in the jungle here and they'll kill these mobs to get gold. This kind of gives an advantage because if you're in the lane with another player, you have to share all of the experience and the gold with the person in that lane. If you're in the jungle, your top lane and your mid lane are both then on their own, which means they gain more experience over a shorter period of time. And if you're able to jungle at the proper speed, you'll keep up with mid and top lane, meaning that you're all two lanes and the jungler are now ahead of bottom lane. So it's easy for you to come in and help out bottom lane. So there's a bunch of different mobs here. The most particular being the one I just killed, called Red. It's the Elder Lizard, but it's called Red Buff by players all the time. You'll get used to it. It just gives you a little buff that makes your attacks slow people and gives you more damage. Alternatively, the other one is Blue Buff over here, right in this area, which will give you a small buff that gives you mana regeneration, like wicked mana regeneration. You should probably never run out, in most cases anyway. And it also gives you cooldown reduction, which is best theoretically for ability power champions, but an AD carry or a jungler or anybody who uses mana is usually good to give it to. Usually you want to give it to whoever's getting the kills. Otherwise, it's just going to get lost. If you kill somebody with one of these buffs, it'll be transferred to the person who picked up the kill. So if I was fighting somebody right now in mid, rather than just playing against minions, and I got attacked by somebody out of the bush and I died, they would receive my red buff, and it would have its full duration left on it, instead of the countdown that you can see there slowly. So, as you progress throughout the game, you'll have certain advantages as you go along, and you'll start to push the lanes and the turrets. Once you get down a turret, you're able to advance in that lane, but you also get a bunch of gold for your team as well as for yourself. As well as for your team. And you'll get more gold if you're close to the turret or you help kill the turret. And you can see here by the ring, this isn't in normal games, this is only in bot matches and in games, solo or custom games. You can see the range of the turret to make sure I don't get hit. Now, because I don't have any minions under the turret, if I walk under the turret right now, the turret's going to target me. But if I had a minion there, it would target the turret or the minion first if the minion walked under it before I did. Alternatively, if there was an enemy champion under the turret and I was under the turret and I attacked that champion, the turret would automatically switch to attack me. It'll prioritize whatever is putting its players, its team, technically, in danger. So as you can see, I just destroyed the turret, came up on the side there telling everybody that I got the turret, woo, go me, and I got a bunch of gold. And you may hear my roommates laughing at nothing in the background. So once I've gotten that, I could start to push the next turret. Usually you want to help out other lanes. Not talking about what you should do when right now, so let's just move on. So I'll let my character keep pushing this while I try and explain something else. So, I explained the moves. Everybody's moves are a little bit different. Obviously, there's different champions. You want to read over the moves before you play the character or before you choose the moves and kind of figure out what you want to do, what you want to level first. You can look up guides or you can just wing it. Doesn't matter to me. Might matter to your team. Depends on how experienced you are and if you plan on getting more experience. You'll also notice that every champion has a passive, which again differs. So the one for Caitlyn is after so many auto attacks, after 7 basic auto attacks, she'll get a new shot, which is a headshot, which will do can't remember the percentage. It'll deal different percentage damage to minions, different percentage damage to champions, but it does more damage either way. And utilizing a champion's moves as well as their passives is very vital to playing them properly. Also, you'll see those little summoner spells that you picked at the beginning of the game, which will be keyed on to either D or F depending on which order you selected them in. So right now I have Flash and Barrier, so if I just press D, I'll flash forward a little bit, and that can be used to go over a wall, through minions, past the turret, whatever you can think of using it for. Also, if I was to go into the turret range for whatever reason, I can Barrier, and it'll give me a little shield to absorb some of the damage with. But I don't want to die right now. That was kind of closer than I thought. You've also got this little button down here, so if you press B, you'll start to recall. You can't do anything, or it'll take you out of the recall, and if you're attacked, it'll cancel the recall. So you have to be ready for that. You don't want to be caught looking at your items trying to decide what to buy when you're recalling and somebody pops out of nowhere and hits you and kills you. It happens. It's going to happen no matter what you do, but it's kind of something you want to avoid. So I've gone back. I've been able to buy some more items because I've gotten some gold, and now I'm able to go back more powerful. Let's talk about the big guys now. Like I said, there's these 2 spots in the jungle area along the river here, which is the watery area, for anybody who doesn't know what a river is. And right here in the bottom half of the map, it'll be a dragon. All that dragon does is it's a big mob, it's a pain in the ass to kill, and if you kill it, it gives a bunch of gold to the entire team. It's an objective that's really, it's a bigger deal than it seems, and as the game goes on, it'll be worth more gold. So usually you want to try and group your team together and take this objective when it's available. As you saw there, if I pull it out too much from retreating, it'll actually go back in and its health will go back up. I'm probably going to end up dying from it. That's fine. Then, let's see if I can kill it first before I talk about Baron. No, I'm not going to kill it. So when you die, it'll tell you who killed you, and you'll see a little timer in the bottom left. Right now I have 20 seconds, and then you're going to respawn back at your fountain. You can buy more items, whatever, and then you can return to your lane and try and help your team, or you can return to roaming and helping your team with whatever they're doing. Anyway, up here, there'll be a monster called Baron Nashor. Usually just called Baron. It's easier to type. What this guy does, let's quit putting me back there, stupid game. What this guy does is he's really, really hard to kill. You need usually 2 people to kill him at least, and you need to be really far in the game before just 2 people can kill him. A lot of the time fights will happen over this buff, and there'll be a lot of big things going on. If you kill him, you get a buff that gives you increased health and mana regeneration, increased damage, all this different stuff. Basically, if a team has Baron and you're losing, stay away from them. If a team has Baron and you're winning, still try and stay away from them, because it can actually be a really big game changer. Along with giving them this buff, it gives them like 300 gold, and that can make the difference between having an item complete and just having parts of an item which isn't as useful. So, food for thought. As you go through the game, you're going to finish some items, and eventually you can fill up all your little things here. One thing I forgot to pick up, because I'm still not used to being in the game, they just added it this season, is these stupid little awesome trinket things. They're stupid and awesome at the same time. If you buy one, why not? They're free. There's 3 different ones. One puts a ward down, which lets you have vision on the area. One lets you see wards, which are invisible normally, and the other one lets you just see into the bushes or wherever you decide to make it see. It's kind of good for scouting and figuring out if you're in danger. I usually get the ward one. It's nice to have a free ward. It gives you some vision on the map, which can be really key in your game. When you do have it, you'll notice that there's little numbers on all of your items here, and that will let you use them as keybinds if it's an item that lets you use it. So right now I don't have any. If I had my trinket, it would automatically go to the number 4 slot, and I could press 4 on my keyboard and then click where I wanted to place it. Most of your skills will work the same kind of way. As if I press Q, I have to click where I want it to go. If I want to place my W, which is a little trap, I have to click where I want it to go. E, I have to click which direction I want it to go. There are some champions which will have moves that automatically activate, like a shield or something around them, or a speed boost or something, and those you would just press the button and it's there. You don't have to worry about anything else. If you had items that you want to be able to click on, or hopefully not click on, hopefully press the button for, you can left click and hold and move them to different spots so that it's more comfortable for you to press certain buttons. Obviously, for most people anyway, unless you're kind of weird, it's easier to press 1, 2, and 3 than it is to press 5, 6, and 7. So if you want to move your usable items to number 1 and press 1 rather than have to reach across the frickin' keyboard and press 7, then do that. Maybe my hands are just small. I don't know. It's actually really not that hard to reach it. It's just a pain in the ass when you're in the middle of a big fight. Other than that, that's basically the game. You're going to start out in your lanes. People are going to call lanes. You're going to go there. You're going to start fighting each other. Hopefully not giving up a bunch of kills. You can see up in the top right here, you have your kills, your deaths, your assists, your minion kills, the time, the score. You can see your ping, your FPS, all that cool stuff. The point of the game is to get to the end, kill the Nexus. The best way to do that is not give up kills, get kills, and beat the enemies and farm. As you die, they're going to get more gold, they're going to get more powerful, and you have to try and stop them as much as you can. That can be a pain sometimes, and as much as people like to think that they can carry a game all by themselves, it's a lot easier to do if your team is able to work together. Sure, it's hard to get a team that will work together, but if you can manage to work together, it really makes it a lot easier. I'm going to buy a trinket so I can just show it to you, because I've been neglecting it. So I just click for, place the trinket. There's a ward. Useless there because we already have complete vision on there, but it would open, if I placed it right here, it would open that area up for me to see. Now, there's also a couple other things that you might want to know going into the game. Just kind of side little things that may help you out, may not. If you hold tab, it'll bring up this, and it'll give you a list of all of the players in the game. It'll show you all your team with all of the items and summoner spells that they have, as well as their scores, their minion farm, all that. Just lets you check on your friendly players. The other team, it will only show you what they have if that player has been seen since they bought it. So if I go back and I buy another item right now and I haven't been seen by the enemy team at all yet, they're not going to know I have that item. So depending on the item, you could use it to surprise them, or they could just end up seeing it eventually. They will end up seeing it eventually. And sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. Usually it doesn't matter. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, usually it doesn't matter. From there, there will also be a little button over here to the far right side. If somebody's talking too much and you just don't want to listen to it anymore, you can click on it, it'll mute them. Then you can, I think it blocks them after the game also, so it makes it a little bit easier. But if somebody's trash talking you and you're just not in the mood to deal with it, mute them. Honestly, if somebody's trash talking you, just mute them. Arguing with a teammate is gonna make you lose the game 90% of the time. Also, if you press C, it'll bring up your character or champion info, and you can look at all of the stats that you have. So you can see how much lifesteal you have, how much crit you have. And for some champions, it's important to have high crit or high cooldown reduction. You want to know where that's at. But it's a little bit more advanced than some of you may be. Some of you may already know that. If you didn't know that, cool. Maybe you learned something new. There's also the system of pinging. If you press G, you can ping a spot. And if you ping a target, something of the enemies, it'll ping and tell everybody on your team that you've targeted that. That's what you're going for. You want to kill that. Please come help me. If I ping myself, it does nothing. If I ping my turret, it's telling me I need aid at this turret. I need help because the enemy team's going to kill it, and I can't do this alone. Now, if you press G and you hold down your mouse, you'll see 4 options come up, and you can drag your mouse in the direction that you want. If you drag it up, it's going to ping danger. So it's going to tell people not to go over there because something bad could happen. If you ping on my way, it's going to tell people that you're coming in there. So if I'm headed bottom and I'm coming to here, it's going to tell them that that's where I'm going, and that may be the way that I'm going. It'll show them the way that you're going as well. Or you can say I'm coming in here, then I'm going here, then I'm going here. It can be a little bit annoying, so you might not want to do it that much. but it's kind of a useful tool so people know that you're coming, and they don't have to just guess that you're coming or notice that you're coming. It actually gives them a sound recognition that you're coming, or a sound warning. That was a wrong word to use. And then it gives them a visual cue that you're coming as well. They have the line or the little symbol that'll pop up for a second. Also, you can hold it down and press assist me. It's just asking for some help. And to the left, enemy missing. This is good. It used to be you'd have to type bot missing or top going mid or whatever. Instead, now you just go ping. Somebody's missing from bottom. If you ping up this way, people usually assume that you think they're going that way. The person in mid needs to be careful. You could even ping danger there also, and hopefully they'll catch on that somebody's coming. It gets even more fun. There's also, if you press V, it's sort of a retreat ping. It does the same thing if you drag it, but if you just press V, it'll signal people in that area to be careful. If you signal, I don't want to be ping anymore. If you were to ping with V to your turret, it would tell everybody to retreat to that turret. At least the message would. People don't usually get that thing. They're just like, that person, I don't know what they're doing right now. He's a special kid. Point being, pings are kind of useful. It's an easy way to let your team know what's going on without having to type. Which, by the way, you press enter, you type something in. /all will type to people on the enemy team as well as your team. You can also just press send, or shift enter will do the same thing. Normally it'll just type to your team. You can clear history, which I guess is useful. I don't know. That's really it. There was also one other button that I always press by accident, but I can't seem to find right now. It's escape now. They changed the entire escape interface. So if you want, you can bring this up, and I just messed it up. Totally messed that up. Oh, I just scrolled down. So you can change the keybinds right away. Actually, I've never played with this before. Okay, cool. You can change the keybinds to match different things. It used to not be able to change it as easily. It used to, like, I'm using a Razer Naga. I used to not be able to change it so I could use my Naga for all my buttons, which apparently now I can, and I'm on lock screen. So if you press escape, you can do that. You can change your video settings, all that fun stuff. End game surrender. Almost forgot about surrendering. If you're losing the game, like really badly, because in most cases teams don't want to surrender, but if you're losing the game really badly and you just don't want to waste your time, because some of these games can go on for 40 minutes to an hour. If you're really unlucky, or both teams are just really at a stalemate, it could go for an hour and a half. I've had it happen. It really sucks. All you have to do is type /surrender, and you'll surrender. And your team will vote. You have to have the majority vote. And once you surrender, it'll take you back. Your Nexus will explode. It'll come up that you got defeated. And you can continue on with your life. You can go have a soda, have a beer. You can go cry in your bed because you lost a game of League of Legends. Whatever you do when you lose a game, it's up to you. So, I hope I didn't miss too much. I tried to cover everything I could for the basics of the game. Like I said, there's 3 lanes. You push up the lanes, you kill the enemy Nexus. There's not really much more I can cover in a basics video without getting too in-depth and just hurting anybody's brain that's trying to learn the game. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helped you out a little bit. I know I'm not that funny. I'm just trying to help you new guys out, help you old guys out. I'm trying to help everybody out. So, if you learned something, let me know in the comments. If there's anything that I missed, let me know in the comments. Also, if you would like a certain tutorial video on a certain lane, a certain position, a certain role, or even a certain champion, let me know in the comments, because I'm going to be making videos on the different lanes and champions and stuff, and I want to know which one you guys want me to do first. And I will take everything into consideration unless the champion sucks, because I don't know how to play everything yet. I've been playing this game for too long, but I still can't play everything. So, also, like and subscribe, really help us out, and I hope to see you guys next time on whatever the video is. Have a great week, weekend, week beginning, month, year, day, whatever's going on in your life, it's gonna be all right. You can do it. All right.